Hey, how's it going, guys? A few weeks ago, I bought the Barnes & Noble's Nook 9-inch tablet made by Lenovo. It was basically like a version of the Lenovo Tab M9, except this one had more RAM compared to the other ones. And so I thought it was pretty decent, except when I went on and submitted it on Reddit, some guy by the name of UnderstandingRight59 mentioned that they do have another one that's $110 and still has 4 gigabytes of RAM. So that's really nice, and I got that one today here next to me. So I do appreciate him for kind of clarifying and showing this to me, because this was kind of hidden, and I'll try to have a link down below as to where I got this one. So one major difference between the two right off the bat is that this one goes for $110 and this one goes for $150. I like this, but my only concern was that it was maybe a little too expensive. But there are two other differences, or a few other differences that I'll mention later on in this video. But one thing that's the same is the model number, TB310FU and then TB310FU. There's only very slight variations and differences between the two. In the box, we've got the Lenovo tablet itself here. There's a quick start guide, charger, and pin. So essentially it has the same exact design back here with the Lenovo logo here and a rear camera slightly protruding. Not bad. It seems like a pretty solid camera if I remember correctly. The front-facing camera's on here, on the front here in the middle. Then there's the volume keys, power button, which is texturized, so you can kind of tell the difference. I'd still prefer it to be a little away from each other. Then we got one speaker grill on top, and then one on the bottom, and this does emit from both sides, and it sounds incredible. Now, on the back here, actually, more stuff here, there's also a USB-C port and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Again, really rare to see these days, so it's nice that it's still there. And then there is the microSD card tray that's put on the left side here. And really the only difference from the Nook one is that it doesn't have that Barnes & Noble's logo in the middle, so I guess that's kind of an upgrade, right? I'm only joking. I actually like Barnes & Noble's, but I digress. So this thing is quick. It has a raise to wake function for face unlock, and it does a great job just like that right there. Now the phone or the camera is blocking my face, so I just bring this up and then it unlocks just like that. And it works like a charm. It's really nice. And this is what's pre-installed, Netflix. It can in fact be uninstalled, just showing this right here. And there were a few apps that were downloaded or are being downloaded right now as we speak, right when you connect to Wi-Fi. But again, all this stuff can be uninstalled, which is nice. So not too much bloatware outside of that jazz. With the Nook, there was actually that Nook bloatware to be in that little ecosystem. So it's nice because that means there's... you don't have to worry about all that nonsense if you're not into Barnes & Noble stuff. But if you are, one thing to keep note is that there is an app or tool that will not be compatible with this. It'll only work with that Nook device. There's about 48.72 gigabytes free out of 64, and I think it comes with Android 12 out of the box, but it mentioned, I do stand corrected, it is running Android 13. The camera quality is, it's just okay. Mediocre at best. There is a decent amount of noise, so it's not as good as the other ones. And compared to the Barnes & Noble's one, for whatever reason, it does have a night mode to take night shots, but this one was not that good this time. I'm not sure why it didn't come out as well. But yeah, either way, the shutter is fast. That's the only positive thing about it. And then the front-facing camera is just okay. So, really can't complain there. It is what it is. And look at that, I don't even have to put my seats back at all whatsoever. Yep, so this is on here. Probably the best thing about this tablet. The speakers are pretty good. They're immersive since they emit from both sides. I know it's on the side, which is the only unfortunate thing. I prefer front-facing speakers, but nonetheless, with that, this being fully laminated, being able to watch videos in HD, 720p on different streaming platforms, like Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, that's a huge plus. In all honesty, that makes it the best budget tablet for media consumption here, in my opinion. And the fact that this is also laminated, and it gets slightly brighter than the average laptop or tablet, I should be more specific, if we're assuming it gets like 250 to 300 nits for those tablets. This one is slightly brighter, and it's noticeable, being at 400 nits. And I can't really show anything on Netflix, but just to prove to you that this is being played at HD on Netflix, not just saying it's Widevine L1, because there are some tablets that I've noticed that do show it having a wideband security of L1 on DRM info or somewhere. And unfortunately, they don't play at 1080p. They're like stuck at 480p. But yeah, in this case, it does work, and everything around it is what makes it great. If there is a better tablet out there that does have the same specs, if not better, then do let me know. But in terms of specs and talking about performance, doing basic things on here, you won't notice a problem. You can even multitask because it does have 4 gigabytes of RAM. It does a slightly better job than the other one that had 3 gigs. Obviously, 3 versus 4, there's a difference there. You might notice a little bit of lag having like 2 things open at once, but it's not too bad. On Geekbench, this gets a slightly lower score at 410 and 1450 respectively, single core and multi-core scores. And that one was just a tad bit better on the Nook one. Here's a little bit of info on CPU-Z. It's an MT8786V octa-core processor with a GPU of an ARM Mali G52 MC2. Sounds pretty low end, but you can still play games on it pretty decently, surprisingly well. I like to say, what better way to test out game performance than to check out some games here. So the first game here is Roblox. And I noticed some stutters here and there, but overall it is smoother than what I've seen in the past. Next game here is RuneScape, and I've set everything to low except for the FPS rate, being at 60 instead of 35, as well as the FPS display being up here. So we're getting around the 30s here, which is nice. Zoomed out, you'll get less FPS or frames, but zoomed in, it'll be a lot smoother. Be more consistently in the 30s to 40s. So I guess if it stays at around the 30s, you might as well just stick it to 35 FPS. Yep, even at 35 FPS, it definitely does feel a little bit smoother. So yeah, overall, you can do some light gaming here, and it performs pretty well. All in all, for what it's worth and everything we get out of it, speaking of what we get out of it, let me take a look at battery life real quick. Take this battery usage with not just a grain of salt, but a pitcher of salt, because I've had this on for several hours or a couple of hours, 13 hours total, and then it says screen used was about 2 hours, and I got this, opening it up, it was at like, what, 70-ish%, maybe a little less, and now I'm at 34. So you can get about, let's say, 5 hours of on-screen time, just a kind of a wild guess here. But nonetheless, all things considered, this is the best budget tablet for media consumption, the best tablet at $110. I really can't think of anything that's better than that. Maybe in terms of performance, there's something better out there. The smartphones, especially those prepaid, no-contract smartphones, are getting better. So if you want pure performance, take a look at these. You can find some at Walmart. I don't have any specifics, but I will down the line, especially if there's something better here in terms of tablets. But as of now, as of 2024, June 2024, this is the best one so far for $110. But either way, guys, let me know what you think. Is there something better out there? Is there anything I missed out on? I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, thanks for watching.